Hello, today I'll be coding this thing you're seeing right here. So let's see. I already have something like skeleton of the code. So what I'll be doing here is I'll add a heading, and let's make this to-do list. Then I'm going to have a form, and within it I'm going to have a loop. But before I write out that loop, let's get the number of items. So the length of this array. So here I'm going to have the loop index, which starts from 0, goes all the way up to n, and is incremented at every step. Then I have an input element, and this is a checkbox. I'm going to give it an ID, and this is going to be a unique ID. And here I need to interpolate the loop index. And now I'm going to just copy this, and I'm going to use it then for the for attribute of the label. So for, and it's going to be the exact same thing. And here I interpolate the current item at index I. Okay, so yeah, this seems to be working nicely. So that's good. This is it for the structure. Now let's move on to the styling. And for the styling, I already have some basic color scheme which I picked out with the DevTools color picker. And I'm going to start out. I'm going to create a silent class flex because I'm going to be using this multiple times. So display flex, align items center. So this is going to be my silent class, and I'm going to extend it here. So extend flex. Okay, and then I'm going to have flex direction set column. Sorry, and then for the label, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing in terms of extending that. Okay, and here I'm going to set a font. So this is going to be a calc value. Let's make it depend on both the viewport width and height. Let's add in the minimum and 1em. Let's set the line height. Next, some fallbacks and stuff. So this should be good enough here. Something else I'm going to want to do is add a media query for when it starts breaking. So max width, and here I'm going to have a font size, let's say 1em, and now I can just copy paste this and make this something like this. So these are pretty random. You can actually just resize and see where it breaks. And now let's limit this. So min width, these are probably not the best values, they can be tweaked and stuff, but for now we're going to be leaving stuff like this. Okay, and as for the label, let's see how we can do our custom checkboxes there. So I'm going to start with a dimension, and this is going to be let's say 1.75 ends, something like this. One more thing I want to do here. So for all elements and all pseudo elements after, I'm going to set box sizing, border box. Okay, so now that I've done this, I'm going to have a before, I'm going to have an after, and also something else I'm going to set here is position relative. Here I'm going to have position absolute. Here I'm going to have a gap, and this gap is going to be, let's say, this over 7, something like this. Should work. Now let's set something. Let's set an outline, just so that we have an idea of how things look here. So what I'm going to want to do is have something like a padding. So this is going to be, let's say, half the gap, or can I put just the whole gap at the top? Let's see. So the gap at the top, and then I'm going to have twice the gap plus that dimension. So let's see, gap, gap, something like this. Or I could just do gap, and then I'm going to set padding left, something like this. Okay, so this should pretty much do it. I just put it like this, actually, and then set a height, and my height is going to be the dimension plus the gap. I think this is a better solution. Justify content center as well. No, this is not what I wanted. That's good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to set some before and after. I'm going to give them some dimensions. Width equal to that dimension, the height equal to the same value. Let's give them a background just so that we can see stuff. Content. So yeah, that's good. Now I'm going to set left. I'm going to set it to the gap. So that should do it, and the top should be half the gap, since I used the gap there. So top half the gap. So this should align everything nicely. That looks nice. Okay. Now I'm also going to do something like a border, and this is going to be also a fraction of the dimension. So let's say it's going to be something like this. Should work, hopefully. So this is going to be my border radius for sorry, the border. I'm going to set a border on it. Border, sorry. And this is going to be transparent. Let's make it a red first, and then we're going to switch to transparent, but just so that we see stuff. So now let's set the border radius, and this is going to be let's see how this works out. 125 the border. Does that work out nicely? Maybe slightly bigger, something like this. Okay, that's just dubious. That should have done something. Oh, come on. Okay. Okay, I can see a bit of rounding, but that's kind of awkward. Yeah, I do see a bit of rounding on the inside as well. So I'm just going to leave it like this. And this is good enough. Okay, but actually I want this to be transparent. This background, I'm going to have a linear gradient And for this, I'm going to take the first two items from here, and the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to use a slice function. So I'm just going to copy it from here. Just take that function, put it here. I think I have an extra there. So now I'm just going to take this so the background, and the end is going to be length background -1. Okay, this doesn't work. Slice, sorry, you're right. So that should have done something, but it didn't. So let's see the compiled CSS. Okay. Use a comma here. Okay, and I'm having my result, which is good. So now that I've done this, let's collapse the body as well. Let's make this border box. So now I should have my nice background thing. And now I'm going to use this value as a second gradient on top of it. Actually, this is going to be just for the before. So let's just take it out of here and put it on the before. Okay, and here I'm going to have a linear gradient again. Padding box. So this should do it. Okay, and it does. That's nice. Now the next thing I'm going to want to do is have a check mark. So that's going to be a Unicode check mark for the content. So actually I'm going to use that on the after, and it's going to have a cross for the before. So content. Okay, and for the before, I'm going to have a cross mark. So content like this, and here I'm also going to have justify content center. Oh, yeah, and also extend that silent class. Okay, those are right in the middle. That's good. I'm going to set color, and this is going to be okay, like that. Then I'm also going to have text shadow, and this is going to be minus. Actually, I'm going to have a shadow offset. So let's do that. Compute a shadow offset. And this is going to be something like this. Let's hope it's enough. So here I'm going to have minus the offset, and again minus the offset. And I'm going to take from the shadow list the first one, and then I'm going to have something similar the second shadow, except again I'm not going to have that sign. This is going to be the second one. Okay, so now I'm having something. Let's make this opacity 0 for now. We're going to take care of it, but okay, that's kind of big. So perhaps I need something smaller, something like this. I think that's too big as well. Oh, come on. Just how small does it have to be? I like this. I think this is perfect, and it looks etched in. That looks perfect. Okay. Now the thing is, here I'm going to set a custom property, a switch of level 0 or even, and this is going to be 0 initially. Now I think one more thing I'm going to want to do. Here I'm going to want to set a box shadow. Inset 0. This is going to be 1 pixel. Let's say something like 8 pixels. And RGBA. Let's use black. Something like this. And okay, that's looks a bit exaggerated. This looks way better. So yeah, I think this is good enough. So I'm going to leave it like this. And here I'm going to have a second level, and this is going to be no, I'm not going to set it here. I'm going to set it individually because I need to set it individually anyway. So I'm going to, this is going to be equal to the one on the first level, and then here is going to be equal to 1 minus level 0. And here when I'm going to set opacity, I'm going to use pretty much the same thing, except it's going to be for this current level. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here, input if it's checked. For the label after, I'm going to switch this value from 0 to 1. So okay, now one more thing I want to do here, position absolute and top so yeah, this pretty much does it. Something else I want to just get rid of that outline there. That's good. Now I'm also going to have a margin here and something like this. And this should be good enough. Okay. Actually I could make it bigger, have more space in between. Okay, so now if I'm doing this, it works out fine. But I want to give it a background, and I'm going to take out the background is going to be the last one in there. So the background sorry. This is going to be padding box. Okay, so now that I've cleared this, I need to set color, I'm going to make it white. Okay, and I'm going to set a text shadow, which is going to be pretty similar to what I have on the before, except it's going to be just one side, and it's going to use the third shadow. So that should do it. Actually, I think I can make that offset bigger because it just seems too small, to be fair. Okay, and this looks good so far. Now, one more thing I want to do here. I want to set a cursor pointer. Okay, and now that I've done this, I'm going to set a transition duration. Okay, and here I'm also going to set a color. And it's going to be an HSL value, 0% for saturation, and for the lightness I'm going to have a calc, something like 65% minus that switch at this level times 50%. So this is basically the thing. So now, okay, this looks good, and let's set transition color, that duration. Now I'm going to use the same for the after. So here I'm going to set, I said this is going to be opacity. So now I have a nice transition. And yeah, this is it. That's what I wanted to show you today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to put out more stuff in the future, please consider supporting my work in one of the ways explained in the description below, with a donation, by getting me something off my Amazon wishlist, or at least by sharing this to show the role that can be done with CSS custom properties these days. Because honestly, I think it's pretty damn cool. I mean, here I'm just changing one value, and this changes multiple properties on multiple elements, and I think that's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching.